pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please join me as I pray. Again, Father, we're thankful for the blessings of this day, and we're thankful for every drop of rain that falls on our parched land. And we know that as the rain comes, new life springs up. And Father, we can be thankful for that. And we know today the judge has the gavel, the audience is ready, the commissioners have done their homework and studied the agenda. And Lord, we know that they want to make good decisions, and good leaders seek wise counsel. And Father, there's no wiser counsel than you are. So we just pray this morning as these commissioners make their decisions and consider their votes, that they would seek your counsel and make decisions that benefit the citizens of this county. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Here.
Commissioner Castellon.
Here.
Commissioner Russo. Here. Commissioner Lava.
Here.
Judge Mills.
Here, we have a quorum. And we also have citizens to be heard. Mr. Wright, I believe you want to be first. Well, you can be first. Yes.
It looks like a weapon. I feel like I'm among friends, unlike some other places I've been in recent memory. Wow. Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. Most of you know me, and some of you know me better than others, Mr. Cheney. And you've known me for some time. The possible exception is Ms. Lobach. But as we just discussed, I know your niece, and that makes her a pretty fine person too. I'm speaking to you today as a private citizen, not as a member of the Aransas Community Values Fund. I had to disclose that on the sign-up form, so I did it properly, but I'm here as me. And to make my point clear, I'm also the chairman of the Aransas County Appraisal District Board, but I'm not here in that capacity either. I take public participation seriously and believe that our governmental entities should do so as well. I attended the January 3rd meeting of the NAV district to listen and to point out that that meeting was not properly noticed as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act. Because I addressed them under the Citizens to be Heard section, they could not answer me, other than Commissioner Vlasic, who asked me if I was an attorney. I am not. When I attended the next meeting, Commissioner Vlasic addressed me and said that they had visited with their attorney. And he said that they did not have an issue with the Open Meetings Act posting. Mr. Benedum, who sat behind me, then spoke up and said, from what I've been told, the notices are compliant. From what I've been told? Chairman Deco permitted me from speaking. The notices are not compliant with any meeting held on a Monday and haven't been since this particular courtroom began to be used, because they're posted outside your office in a glass case. Well, they have to be available to the public for 72 hours and on weekends with a Monday meeting, and it's posted on Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. It's obviously not compliant. And I decided that if they were that flippant about the law, what else might be evident? I did an exhaustive study of their website, specifically of the archive section, where information exists as far back as the 50s. Surprisingly, nothing exists after May 9th, 2021. I reported my findings to them in the March 7th meeting in the Citizens to be Heard item as follows, verbatim. I'm addressing the NAV district. Under the tab Financial, the 2019 Audit Report and the 2020 Audit Report are listed. The 2019 audit was not reviewed until November the 2nd, according to the minutes. There's no record of the 2020 audit being reviewed or accepted. That's because there's absolutely no reports of any kind beyond May 17th. And I asked the district, why is that? The budget is discussed in only one meeting in 2021, and that was April 19th, to add $100,000 to the budget for Little Bay. And that's the 2021 budget. No other mention of the budget exists in 2021 reports. None. No copy of the budget exists anywhere on the website, including previous years. As far as the evidence concerned, they did not approve a 2022 tax rate. Why is that? There's an entry for the treasurer's report to be approved in agendas up to the last filing of May 9th, 9 months ago. When I wrote this, it was 9 months ago. Typically, that's a bank statement, but no copy of a treasurer's report exists anywhere on the district website. Why is that? Under the financial tab, a sub-tab 2021 tax rate exists. There are 4 entries under that tab: 2021 calculation worksheets, 2021 tax rate calculation worksheets, de minimis rate, and introducing a new TNT, truth in taxation. The first 3 came from county tax assessor and a marshal. They're merely definitions, a how-to, not actual worksheets, no numbers, nothing used in the calculation of taxes. The 4th came from the Texas Comptroller's Office and is again a page of definitions. It's not a form filled out. Nothing to reflect real or considered action. There is no 2021 tax rate listed anywhere on their website. Why is that? Well, there's more that I could read to you, but I'll sum it up in this. I submitted a 4-question Public Records Act, and they gave me 10 days later 119 pages of documents that to the casual observer might have answered all my questions. But the way that I phrased the questions was highly specific. There were 4 questions and there were multiple subparts due, for example, monthly financial statements. That would be 12 per year. There should be as many as 172 responses, never mind pieces of paper in here. I got approximately 15% of what I asked for. When I picked up the book, just to be certain that they knew what I was picking up, I asked the harbor master if he would please sign the document that I had received what I asked for with respect to content. He signed it. As I said, about 15% of what I asked for. Now, I've been to a couple of meetings where they had a public relations seminar down at Fulton Harbor, and if I'm doing good on time, I won't cover it.
You got about 2 minutes.
About 2 minutes? Okay. I spoke specifically on the financial aspects because I know how much money they have. And I've given you, or will give you, 3 pages of analysis of the documents that they gave me. I want you to study them. You have my cell phone number, you have my email. If you have questions, I will meet with you. I will copy this entire booklet so that you have what I have. If you want to see it, I'll zip drive it. I'll do whatever you would like to have access to it. That's just the beginning of what I think is going to lead to a rather serious investigation. And I hope that Mr. Heffron cues you up for that. I went to a meeting, as I said, Fulton Beach Road, where Mr. Moore, Commissioner Moore, held a seminar, a public relations seminar. I'll sum up this. He said that the city of Rockport, due to its size, does not have to utilize BMPs, best management practices. Tommy refers to a BMP as though it's a device in the ground as opposed to a series of flood control measures. I don't think he understands the concept, frankly. And then he said something that I found extremely curious. He said the city of Rockport does not have to comply with that, even though the navigation district is demanding it because of their size. And then he said, effectively, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. They're not going to cross our land. The chairman and I will lie down in front of the equipment if necessary. And that's an elected official. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I have copies for you, and I expect the responses. I'll be whatever you like.
Thank you. Mr. Heffron. 10 minutes.
How many?
10 minutes.
You know I need 15.
I know you.
Well, I think I'll get it in less than 5. Well, good morning, Judge. and commissioners. My name is John Heffron, and I reside in precinct 3 of Aransas County. I'm also a member of a political organization in the community. However, I am here on my personal behalf as an individual resident and taxpayer. There are many questions and concerns in the community about the Aransas County Navigation District's operations. There's very little financial transparency surrounding those operations, and the district's webpage, as Jack has just reviewed, contains virtually no information about its finances, including its budget, revenues, expenses, and the like. Contrast that to what the county's website includes and the city's website includes, which is very comprehensive and very current and replete with all the information one would ever want to know about the finances and the operations of the county and the city. So it shouldn't be difficult for the district to remedy this situation if they really wanted to be transparent. Right now, what a citizen has to do is make a public information request to obtain this information. And this is no way. A citizen shouldn't be forced to make public information requests to get government financial information. But this is exactly what Jack Wright had to do. And as Jack just informed the court, much of the information he requested wasn't produced, which can only mean it does not exist because they are under an obligation to produce the information if it does exist. And the harbor master signed the document that it was fully responsive to the request. Well, the results of the request are alarming, to say the least. There are some significant questions about the scope of the district's activities, which appear to many in the community to exceed its statutory authority. For example, the operation of the Rockport Beach, the festival grounds, and the like. Furthermore, there are numerous examples of how the district has been somewhat heavy-handed, to say the least, in its dealings with lessees and nonprofits who operate the various events and gatherings that are so important in the community. More recently, the district has attempted to claim yet a new authority, and that is to regulate drainage in the community, and has publicly stated that it wants to establish a permitting process for all public drainage projects that might result in any stormwater runoff flowing into any district waters. Presumably, that's not only the city, that's the town and also Aransas County. The district and the city's dispute over Concho Street drainage project comes to mind. You know, I asked the question, how much in taxpayer money has been spent by both sides of this dispute, and to what end? The district seeks to defend itself by claiming it's the only entity, the only game in town that is concerned about the local environment and water quality. Well, this court and all the commissioners know that there's little truth to that claim. The rumor in the community, and Jack just made reference to it, is that the district has engaged a consultant or consultants to improve its image, to burnish it, and to further its agenda. Well, is there any truth to this rumor? I don't know. If so, how much taxpayer money has been or will be spent on this? And is this the sort of expense? Is it proper, or is it political in nature, coming within a matter of months of an election of 3 of the 5 district commissioners? So I'm not here to just generally complain and gripe about what's going on. There is a call to action, and that is of this court and the commissioners. And that is that the commissioners court has broad oversight authority over the navigation district. I don't know if you're aware of that, but you do. And it's all in Chapter 62 of the Water Code. It includes the following. You have the power to require each district commissioner to provide a true account of his or her activities at any time. It's part of their oath of office. You have the power, well, not only the power, the NAV district has the obligation to provide this court with an annual report of its activities on January 1st of every year. To my knowledge, the NAV district hasn't submitted that report to this court for years. I know it wasn't done on January 1st this year. So at a minimum, perhaps that's the start. There should be a report. The January 1, 2022 report should have been provided. The court has the power to require the district, NAB district treasurer to provide the commissioner's court a correct report of all matters relating to the financial condition of the district at any time and as often as you want. It would seem to me that at least a monthly report of the financial situation would be in order. And then finally, the court should make sure that when the commissioner's court does set the levy, because you do set and approve the levy every year of taxes, that the amount of that levy complies in all respects with the water code. There have been some issues in the past about whether or not things that should be part of debt are included in M&O. And I think that merits some further investigation. So I'm here to respectfully request that the court and staff conduct an investigation of the matters and questions raised by Jack, by me, study them in detail, and take whatever action is appropriate. And I thank you for your consideration this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under consent agenda, we have 4 items, and of course, 2 of them with animal control again. $70 donation from Vasquez family, or
Thank you.
Dorothy Vasquez, and a $25 donation from Susan Bishop. So we'd like to thank them publicly. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Are we going to have a little bit of discussion?
I'm sorry, discussion.
I'm just curious about the item number 4, Memorandum of Understanding with the Children's Coalition of Aransas County. I am a supporter of the Children's Coalition. They do tremendous work in this community, and what they've been able to accomplish in less than 5 years is unbelievable. But I'm not sure I understand the gist of the MOU.
I have a similar concern. It seems like we're not agreeing to do anything in particular, and we're not agreeing to expend funds. So I'm not as concerned as I normally would be at approving something without really understanding what's behind it. But it is difficult to understand, why are we entering into something that's non-binding and doesn't really specify anything that we're to do?
Commissioners, from what I understand, the MOU was brought to us by the Children's Coalition, just requesting that the Commissioners Court acknowledge that we share a mission with the Children's Coalition to improve the quality of life and a general condition of children in our community. Basically, just, I think, to acknowledge that we will work with them whenever possible to do what we can to help our community. It is, like you said, non-binding, but it does inform readers that we are on the same page with the organizations in our community that are working toward improving our community.
So it seems like we are officially approving a statement that we're interested in improving the community, but is that really what the kind of thing we should be doing? It seems well meant, but rather empty and more like a sort of a PR gambit.
I'd like to see a copy of the memorandum of understanding.
It should be in your packet, Commissioner.
It is.
And again, this was at the request of the Children's Coalition, and it could be that this is tied to some type of funding that they may receive.
The first thought I had was it sounded like something you do to make a grant agency happy.
It might be, or it might be a private organization that asked for proof of support of the county government. I can't answer that because it wasn't brought to me directly. I just reviewed it and personally found that there was no legal concern.
Well, I mean, it seems harmless enough to say, we support children, but unless it actually obligates us to do something in particular, I can't see why it would help them with a grant. And if it does obligate us to do something in particular, I need to understand what that is. It seems premature to make a kind of open-ended commitment to do something we don't quite know what it is, except that we're sort of promising that it'll be something that's good for children.
I suppose we could have brought you a proclamation instead, just to proclaim that the Commissioners Court is in support in general of this mission. But again, the Children's Coalition did ask that we do this in a form of MOU. That's all the information I have, and I don't think that anybody else has been approached So if the Commissioners Court chooses to take action or not, either way, of course, my office would be satisfied. My goal was just to make sure there was no legal problem with the MOU.
I apologize. It was stuck to the back of the third item. We have it.
So any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
No.
Judge Mills.
Aye, 4 for, 1 against. Item number 5,
I move to approve extending the burn ban order number 012-2022 in order of the County of Aransas, Texas, prohibiting outdoor burning for a period of up to 30 additional days.
Second?
motion made and second, Commissioner Laubach. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous.
I'd like clarification on the consent items. Commissioner Laubach, do you want to note that it was only because of number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
But I had no objection to the others.
Item number 7,
6.
6.
I move to approve Proclamation P 062022, recognizing the month of June as Elderly Abuse Awareness Month in Aransas County, Texas.
Second.
motion made and seconded.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
Commissioners, this is Proclamation P 06-2022, recognizing June 2022 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Aransas County. Whereas older adults and people with disabilities of diverse backgrounds contribute to the well-being of the city by working, caregiving, volunteering, and actively preserving customs, rituals, and traditions. And whereas as we age, we build momentum by accumulating knowledge, experience, insight, and wisdom that can be shared to enrich our community. And whereas abuse of older adults and people with disabilities is a community concern affecting thousands of people across Texas. And whereas abuse affected more than 118,208 older adults and people with disabilities in Texas in 2021. And whereas abuse against older adults and people with disabilities is grossly underreported because of social stigma, embarrassment, and fear. And whereas adult abuse affects men and women of all income and ability levels, all cultural and ethnic backgrounds in all communities. And whereas elder abuse is everyone's business, it's important to strengthen our efforts to prevent, report, and address elder abuse. Now, therefore, on this day, the 23rd day of May, 2020, the Aransas County Commissioners Court, duly convened and acting in its capacity as the governing body of Aransas County, hereby proclaims the month of June as Elder Abuse Awareness Month.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. I believe someone is here from,
Yeah. Yes.
Tim Wood here.
Oh.
Okay.
Is this a photo op? Are we staying up here?
now item number 7.
I move to approve the first quarter 2022 report for the Texas Maritime Museum.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. Come on up, Doc. How you doing, Judge?
Good morning.
Morning.
So good morning, Judge Mills,
Good morning.
all commissioners. Mr. Cheney, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Casterline, Ms. Laubach, Ms. Russo. Good to see y'all again. I'll try to keep this short. I know I always say that and it's kind of a lie, but I'll do the best I can. So, I just use this again, right? So as always, I like to start with a little bit of history before I dive into our quarterly numbers. This is the TNS Austin. This is the first, this is from the Second Texas Navy. This is the first true official warship, as opposed to just having a schooner or a brig, something that pirates would commonly use, as did the Texas Navy during the first Texas Navy and our war for independence against Mexico. This was built up in, I believe, the Philadelphia area, and it is a true sloop of war, whereas the French would call her a corvette for having a single open gun deck. You can see she flies the Texas ensign, which looks a lot like the American flag, except it has a single star. And from a distance, you know, it helped keep the Mexicans at bay, because when that flag is not in high winds, it looks like the American flag. So it gave her an advantage. She had incredible speed, but she was a fully gunned warship, the most powerful one in the fleet before the TNS Zavala came into service. That was the first steam warship. So this is a new piece of artwork done by my friend Pete Reislenbacher that is going into the museum. It was done a few months ago and has just been released. So, and I'll have this available for prints and everything. But it's going into our ever expanding Texas Navy exhibit. It's one of my favorite ships. So onto our general numbers. Our first quarter for the year did extremely well. Our winter Texans stayed on throughout our lecture series and gave us some renewed numbers higher than those seen in the past. Well, I can't say that we kept these people in town due to the museum alone. I feel like a lot of the museum attendance is due to our educational director, Shelley Nossman, in assisting in coordinating a very diverse lecture series, which I'll talk about later, that could not be found in any other museum in Texas. It was extremely successful. Most of the presentations were conducted by some of my fellow maritime archaeologists associated with Texas, or research projects that expand our collective field in general. So I'd like to congratulate my educational director on her extremely hard work. So for first quarter in 2021, we had 1,023 visitors, which was good. In 2022, we had 3,324. That is a 106% increase. I'm extremely proud of those numbers. Our numbers continue to climb as our programs increase. And again, I feel like it's putting us on the right track. In terms of visitors, 70 plus miles out in 2021, we had 627 visitors for the first quarter, whereas in 2022, for 70 plus miles out, we had 972 visitors. That is a 43% positive increase difference. So again, I'm very proud of these numbers and happy with all the work that my team at the museum is doing. Everybody's working really hard to bring visitors in and improve the museum and make it not just a destination on the coastal bend, but you know, a good steward for the community. So, and this is just going to show you our numbers. I generally show this in every report, you know, for all of our years from 2016 to 2022. Now I can only show you the first quarter, but you can see that 3,324 at the bottom is pretty impressive for just starting off the first quarter. If you look at the numbers comparatively, and if you could kind of project that we're going to continue to go with numbers like that, which are only going to increase during the summer months, this could be one of our best years. So our numbers are rising, and again, we're definitely on the right track. So during my last presentation, Commissioner Russo had asked me for something and kind of opened a can not a can of worms, but a good can. So she was wanting a comparison for 70 plus miles out of the major metropolitan areas in Texas. And so what we're doing is we're creating this program. We've been working on this for about a year now with Scott Waggart. And we've come up with this way to track the zip codes. And we can zoom in and go to whatever, we can put a pinpoint in a metropolitan area and then say we want to track the zip codes for 70 miles out, 100 miles out, 200 miles out, depending on the size of the city. And then we can actually come up with those numbers and then kind of create a comparison for, 2022 versus 2021. Now, I don't have the comparison for 2021 yet. I know, Commissioner Russo, that was what you were asking for. We're working on it as we develop this program, but we've made some serious headway with this, and it's very impressive. So this is just for the first quarter, and you can see what we did for Rockport was we did 70 miles out, and then with San Antonio, Austin, we just kind of put it right in between the two metropolitan areas, and we made it for 100 miles. Now we can make it 150 miles, we can make it 200 miles, but then they start overlapping areas. So then with Houston, we did 100 miles, and then Dallas, Fort Worth, we did 100 miles. So we can collect as much or as little data as you guys want. And these are very accurate numbers. It's all based on the zip codes. So this is something that some of the other nonprofits might be interested in as well. So I'd be very willing to share this to help the county get a very good understanding of what numbers are coming into our town. But you can see the percentages there on the right-hand corner, just like 75 miles out from Rockport, we had 6.32%, which is 210 people. So this is going to be really useful after the wine festival because we'll know exactly where these people are coming from. So, Commissioner Russo, I took to heart and we're working on it. Thank you. So, as for our requests, our expenditures have stayed the same, and the museum respectfully asks if we could still continue with the support that y'all have given us, which has been, as always, extremely helpful, and we're very appreciative of that. And we haven't changed the numbers any, so this is going to be the same thing that you saw in our fourth quarter request. So on to a few things about the museum. I've already showed you guys this picture. This is USS Westfield, the sister ship of USS Clifton. Now, sadly, the Clifton Steamboat Museum in Beaumont, Texas was forced to close. They never quite recovered from Harvey. The Texas Maritime Museum has agreed to take on a large portion of their collection. So this includes the walking beam, which is it's the actual a replica of USS Clifton's walking beam. And what that is that's that diamond shaped lever that is next to the smokestack. So it's kind of like those oil derricks that you see in the country. Except instead of having a motor, though, you have a piston that pushes it up, and then the walking beam goes back and forth, goes down to a crank, and it turns the paddle wheels. Well, the original one is in the Beaumont Park, where the Battle of Sabine Pass took place in 1863, and the Clifton was destroyed. This is a picture from 1910 above USS Westfield showing Clifton completely submerged. And you can see her walking beam sticking out of the water as well as her smokestack. So I tried to kind of put them on top of each other so you could see what is underwater versus what can be seen. Here again is that picture from 1910. That walking beam was recovered, and it was, as I said, put by the battlefield, and they made an exact replica of it to honor that battle and Dick Dowling and everything he did to secure Sabine City at the time for the Confederacy and chase the Union out. This was one of the worst Union catastrophes where they lost 2 ships and over 5,000 people. We recently had the walking beam delivered to the museum. It's monstrous. It's about 20 feet by 9 feet tall. Here it is being unloaded and placed on the museum grounds. We're not going to set it up until after the wine festival, but it's an interesting piece of history that was made almost 100 years ago. Again, it's a replica, but it was made as an exact copy of the original. So here's another picture of it. And this is going to go on display to where people can touch it. And there'll be a mock-up model to where you can see what it would look like as it was in action. So other parts of the collection that we took from that museum were steamboat models that are very good representations of what would apply in the Texas waters during the 19th century. These are going to be available very soon for display, as well as a ton of models from Civil War and the Texas Navy period, some from World War I. And this is probably the largest acquisition we've had in over 20 years. So it was sad that the museum had closed down, but we're happy that we can give them a home and provide something beneficial for the public viewing. And that's educational and tangible as opposed to just pictures on a wall. So again, I showed you the TNS Austin. In addition to that, in 2018, myself and some fellow archaeologists started researching what she really looked like. And a model was crafted in Pennsylvania by my good friend Charlie Cosworth. He's a renowned model builder, famous nationwide. He commissioned this model. It's about a $30,000 model. He gave it to the museum for free. And you can see the sister ship. That's the Decatur up in the left-hand corner. So that was the one picture we had, and we based it off of that. And then the research that we found in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. and in Austin, Texas. So this model just came in and we're adding it to the collection. It's one of the finer models you'll see throughout the state. So on to our lecture series. Our lecture series went off without a hitch. It was incredible. We had maritime archaeologists from all over Texas, as well as out of state. We'd had some that actually explored Indianola, the ruins underwater, surveyed them, what was left, as well as went into steamboat wrecks, Spanish galleons lost on the Texas coast, all manner of presentations. And it was probably one of the best lecture series we've ever had. Now, I know that's a little biased. I haven't been here for 20 years, but we had these people come from all over. We were preparing for this for a year. So just getting a lot of these people coming in from out of state was very impressive. I'm sure you guys saw in the news that they recently found the Endeavor down in Antarctica. I believe it's the Endeavor. My friend was on that expedition, and he's going to be presenting on that next lecture series and talking about his experiences with that. So Shelley, my education director, she led this off. Our numbers were extremely impressive. We were booked solid. Ms. Russo, I saw you there several times, as well as several others.
When Commissioner's Court didn't interfere, I came.
Yes. I mean, it was good. I mean, you saw the numbers. And they were very entertaining presentations. It was, I'm not trying to harp on any previous presentations, but these were top-notch presenters. So I was very, very proud of that. Shelley continues to expand upon our education program. She had our Tiny Tot Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. We had little kids coming in and doing all sorts of arts and crafts projects. It was a little crazy, but I can deal with one kid, but we had a room full of 20. So I don't know who was worse, the kids or the parents, but it was fun for everybody. So we had a good time. Other educational programs, spring break, a maritime camp, and our camps are going to start after Wine Festival officially. We just need to get that out of the way. So a lot of good things coming for the next quarter. So again, I'd like to thank you guys for your time as always. I hope I kept it on time. I didn't look at my watch this time, but I do appreciate your support. The Maritime appreciates your support, as do our board of directors. So thank you guys for everything you do and allowing me to continue to serve the community. So
Thank you, Justin, and thank you and your people for everything you do for the community.
We enjoy it.
We appreciate it, and I'll see you Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
I also might add, I believe you're looking for volunteers still for Saturday's
Yes.
festival. And there is a link available where you can go on and sign up if you're so inclined.
Yes, that's on.
And I'll
the
see you
website
Thursday
and on
also.
Facebook- And on Facebook. Thank you, Commissioner Russo. Yeah, wish me luck, guys. This is gonna. it's gonna
You did good last year.
Yes, sir. And
All
it's gonna be bigger.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 8.
I move to approve request for variance on county subdivision regulations on minimum lot size requirements to replat 118, 120, and 122 Canvasback Lane from 3 lots into 2 lots.
I moved to table this one. I'm sorry for the last minute action, but I talked to Roads and Bridges this morning, and evidently there's an issue with a possible county drainage easement on that property, and it's not addressed yet. And they would appreciate more time to look into that issue.
I'll second that, Chris.
Motion made to table and seconded Commissioner Cheney. Roll call.
Commissioner
May I
Cheney,
ask something?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe David Reed is online. David, would you like to give us some more information about this?
Is he online, or is Kat?
I don't think David's.
Here he is.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. Yeah, there is a drainage easement that isn't showing up on that plat, and it needs to show up on it. I've been talking with this property owner for quite some time about it. There's issues.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 9.
I move to approve the 2021 annual profile report as required by the Code of Criminal Procedures 2.131-2.138.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded Commissioner Russo. Sheriff?
This is an annual report that significantly changed last year or 2 years ago, and we're in the second year of it. It's more detailed. If you were on the court 4 or 5, 10 years ago, it was a 2-page report. Now it's drilling down more precise into the different ethnic groups and by gender and age and everything else. I look for this to report, change again even next year and in the coming years to give me some detailed information by deputy to where we don't have to track that ourselves individually, but we'll identify areas of concern. A little bit of baseline, the 2020 census count did show Aransas County at 24,510 is the number that I've got in that ballpark. And if you wanted to break it down, it was showing, not sure where they grab all these numbers from, but the Hispanic breakdown would have been 27.9 and 66.8 of white only, which sounds like an odd anomaly of how you're going to count things. But in the report 2 and 3 years ago, it would show Hispanic, not white, is the way it was worded. And so as you go through it, you can look at a lot of numbers. It shows the number of total stops. It shows the top stops by age group, by ethnic group, by roadway, what type of road it was on, citations that were issued, and they're broke down clear on through the report. Like I said, I look for this to continue to evolve and improve. It's changed a lot in the last 2 years. And if you got any questions, I'll try to address them. But it's just a report that's required that we bring to every county in the state.
Sheriff, could we, and the next time you do this, could we get a comparison of the previous year? Previous report, or you can go 2 or 3 back?
Yeah, I can just print previous year as well.
Yeah, so we can kind of get an idea of how we're moving.
If there, yeah, and it would show a change, and that may be something that, I don't know if they would entertain it or not, but through DPS, spit the report out and start to chart a graph for you to where you could show
That's a good idea.
changes year to year. But I don't know what their ultimate plans are, but like I said, in the last 3 years, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was a 2-page report, real high level, and now they're drilling down. And I think even this year when we submitted the report, we turned the numbers in, then they came back with an analysis report for us, broke it down even further for us, so we didn't have to do all that math. But next year, we do hope that it was in the budget this year. We're acquiring the ticket writers, which will track a lot of this information. Immediately upon the ticket going in the JP courts, the last 2 years, we had to hand count these tickets, and it was a little bit of a chore, and we're trying to eliminate that process.
Sheriff, I believe you said the estimated population was 24,500. Is that what you said?
510, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the breakdown was, what did you say? 66% white and
66.8 was, yeah, white, white alone, and not white Asian or white Hispanic. And Hispanic was 27.9, showed Asian at 2.1, and African-American or Black in the community at 1.7, which I thought was a low number, but sometimes when you look at the percentages, you trying to break it down out of 24,000, it's an eye opener to me sometimes when you look at them.
well, I did a small amount of math, not on every page, just on a couple. And it looks to me like when it comes to percentages, the white being stopped runs between 80 to 85%, and the Hispanics between 11 to 15%. So it looks like we are well compliant. But this is a very detailed report.
It is, and I think it changed even from last year. So I look for next year to drill this thing down a little bit further and get into more detail. But if they don't provide or don't start providing comparative years, there's not a problem with me pulling both reports and putting them in your packet next year.
That'd be good.
Thank you, Chair. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 10.
I move to approve a proposal to house inmates for Williamson County under the same terms as Nueces County. Proposal will also require approval from the Commissioners Court of Williamson County.
Second.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion? Roll call.
I
Oh, yes.
have a question. And this might be more for Ms. Osteen. On page 1, where it talks about the term, that it's effective until December 31st of this year, and then it will automatically renew each year on the 1st unless otherwise terminated. Is there some way that we could have a reminder that it is renewing every year, rather than just have it go into perpetuity as some other contracts may have done?
We could bring a report, I guess a request, I guess every January. It's not just with them, but it would be with the Marshal Service in Nueces County as well.
You'd want to bring it in probably every November or December in case we needed to negotiate any term
True.
changes. But just because the automatic renewals in there doesn't mean that we don't review them. We will be putting a reminder on the calendar in my office with Jackie's help for every agreement to be reviewed fully at the most within 3 years. So nothing would go more than 3 years without a thorough review, even if it has an automatic renewal clause.
I think the concern is not just for your office to review it, which is of course great, but that it be flagged on an agenda item in the Commissioner's Court so that we know we're deciding to let it ride or to take action. Is that something your office can undertake to do, or do we need to put it on our tickler?
That would be something that the Sheriff's Department would
I
bring.
could bring you an agenda item annually and just make sure that we cover not only theirs, but the city of Rockport and everybody's renewal rates. Keep everybody up to date on it. This was just something that popped up 10 days ago, 12 days ago, when my jail administrator went to a conference or training at the first of the year in February. Met the jail administrator from Williamson County, and they're kind of jammed up for space. There's also a request out yonder. Calhoun County is looking for places to, and with the feds not really bringing us as many as they did in the past, and we continue to remind and ask, they've had a change in turnover of the marshals and who's running the operation out of Corpus and with the facility in Robstown. So we're not seeing as much. And rather than leave those beds laying vacant, waiting for somebody from the Marshal Service, I'm asking that we open it up to where we could house these other counties that are in a dilemma right now.
I'm not trying to express any problem with this particular contract. It's just more of a procedural thing. If we have automatically renewable contracts, somebody needs to have the affirmative duty to bring it up to the commissioner's court every year so that we don't just let it happen kind of by silence. Maybe that person for this contract is you. So if you'll affirmatively undertake to the commissioner's court to bring it up November, December each year, that'd be great.
Do that.
Would this contract need to be amended to reflect that?
It's not part of the contract. It's really the sheriff department's undertaking in open court to us. Because the only way to put it in the contract is make it not to make it an automatically renewable contract. The contract itself.
Okay, my understanding is you're wanting a reminder that we have these automatic renewals coming up.
Yes.
By entity, making sure y'all stay abreast of who all we are housing for. And
Yeah, making a formal statement on behalf of the department. You recommend a renewal. You recommend not taking action to prevent the renewal.
I can do that if it's your pleasure. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Not roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellano, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 11.
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign a proposal from Berg Oliver Associates Incorporated to provide biannual invasive plant spraying at Pathways venues for Connie Hager Track, Thule East, Thule West, Thule Ditch, Thule Creek, Linda Castro Birding Track at a total cost of $21,600 to be funded from the Pathways venue.
Motion made.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Laubach.
One question, what is it, the little park that we have over in Peninsula Oaks? Is it going to get sprayed? Why? Oh, it's not a venue. Okay.
My question is, I think we're talking about twice a year, not once every 2 years. Biannual is actually every 2 years. Semi-annual will be twice a year. So we're talking about 21,000 some odd each 6 months. Is that right? So for the year, 42,000. Okay, thanks.
Is that correct? I thought it was 1,800 a spray and they were doing 2 sprays a year.
I think the spray, there's a spray cost and a materials cost. The total in the staff memo was 21,600, and that's every 6 months.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
So on this.
No, I'm not satisfied yet with what the cost is, because I'm looking at this. It shows, and actually there were 3 proposals for the different areas. Is it 21,600 a year?
Twice a year.
It's, I think so. I haven't looked at the proposal, but we do this annually.
Right.
Oh, I guess the question is it 21,000 a year, but it gets done every 6 months? So half.
Yes.
That's exactly.
So the total cost for a year is not 42,000,
No,
it's 21,000. Okay.
All right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellano,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 12.
I move to approve entering into an interlocal agreement with Sourcewell, a Minnesota-based service cooperative to enable Aransas County to utilize Sourcewell's cooperative purchasing contracts in order to obtain equipment and supplies at pre-negotiated cost as authorized under section 271.101 of the local government code.
I'll second
Motion
that.
made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion? Kat, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
I have a couple of questions, but Kat, why don't you tell us what you're going to, and I'll ask more if I need to.
Yes, ma'am. This interlocal agreement would allow the county to become a member of Sourcewell. And Sourcewell is a type of local government entity that engages in the competitive bidding process and other required procurement processes in order to better coordinate with government agencies that need to fulfill those procurement requirements, but also need to make purchases in a more timely manner. This would still require any purchases to go before the Commissioners Court. The only portion that Sourcewell would be covering would be the competitive bidding, the requirements to contact certain types of vendors for eligibility. But any purchases made through Sourcewell would come back to the Commissioners Court prior to being engaged with.
Kat, I have a question. I don't have a problem with who y'all chose. I have a problem with why y'all are choosing that and not Commissioners Court. Did we go out for public bids on this, or is that proprietary, or what?
Commissioner, Commissioner Kat, do you want to answer that, or would you like me to?
I would be happy to, or if you would like to. Sourcewell is similar like the HGAC buy board. So they're not the, they're just engaged, they're completing those requirements that for federal requirements that a government agency has to go through before expending tax dollars. This would not remove the requirement that it come before Commissioners Court for approval. It would just allow us to meet the requirements for competitive bidding and for targeting specific required vendors in a more timely manner.
Commissioner, this is non-exclusive.
Oh, okay.
The county can enter
that was
into,
basically my question.
right. The county can enter into cooperative purchasing arrangements with more than one entity. So this is just one in addition to the entities we already participate with.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. One is that the background memo doesn't say we pay a fee or anything. Is that correct? We're entitled to use the service essentially for free. I mean, they're just kind of a bulletin board where you can go buy stuff. Okay, and then the other question is, do we have a procedure for double checking that? I mean, it sounds like we're sort of farming out to somebody else the procurement's duty, and we need to make sure that what they charge for things on their list remains competitive with how much it would cost us if we had to go do it ourselves. Do we have a way to ensure that? I mean, do you sort of spot the prices against what's locally available and can assure the Commissioners Court that, all in all, it's still cheaper this way?
Yes, ma'am. And in fact, one of the main reasons for engaging with Sourcewell is so that because of the difficulty in finding locally sourced vendors, a lot of this has to do with the type of purchases needed to make for fleet maintenance and quick specific type purchases. So this would not be used in place of the regular procurement process, but would be used when necessary to procure those types of parts and vehicles and things that we were not able to find for on a local level. And we would still be required to show to the Commissioners Court the different options. And that still would be part of the process. We would just not have to go through the full competitive bidding selection process.
Right. It sounds like you take care of my concern, not when you decide to make Sourcewell a potential option, but when you bring each option, each proposed purchase to us in court. That works for me.
And we have used a place like this for some time called Bible.
Yeah.
This is just another option doing the same thing. And I think periodically some of the departments have bid stuff to try to get comparisons.
That's all I had.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 13.
I move to approve authorizing staff to request construction bids for the Bahia Bay Drainage and Outfall Project using American Rescue Plan funds and authorizing the county judge to sign necessary documents.
I second that.
Motion made and second. Commissioner Russo, any discussion?
Couple of questions. I think I may have asked this before, so I apologize, but the background memo indicates that we have about $4.5 million in ARP funds. But I think I also remember this project's not going to use all of that $4.5 million. This project is probably going to be considerably smaller, though we don't know the exact number until we get bids.
Greg Thompson with Hanson Professional Services. Thank you. yes, this will not take up that amount. It will be under $1 million, hopefully in the $500,000 to $600,000 range is what our opinion of probable construction cost is at this time.
Are we going to have filtering of any kind?
So we do, Commissioner, have an additive alternate for stormwater stormwater quality device at the downstream end of it. Yes, sir.
I've had several people from Bahia Bay wanted to make sure that we were having a filtering system of some sort.
We have an additive alternate in there. It'll be your decision whether you go forward with that or not.
Yeah, I've had that same question, but that's what I told them, that it was going to be part of the bid, and we decide then how much it cost and whether we could do it.
Correct.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Item 14.
I move to approve the request to assign Texas order, or excuse me, task order DR 4332197 for Grant Works to serve as grant administrator for the airport field generator project.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Laubach.
I have a question about this one, just to confirm that I'm describing it accurately to people. I think the way this works is we have a master agreement with Grant Works, and when we want to add a new project, a new grant to it, we do it by signing a work order. And so that's what we're doing here, is sort of signing a work order to add a new item to a list.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
I have a question, because I gave two amounts, the $68,049 with management or $64,809 without management. Are we making a decision right now on whether we're taking it with or without management?
I'm not sure. I didn't realize there was two different.
They have that under the total.
I
not to exceed
I would
fee.
recommend that we do it with the management, because then they review everything and consider and make sure that all documents have been completed correctly.
So then we'll say the total not to exceed fee would be the $68,049 with management.
Yes, ma'am.
And that fee doesn't come out of our pocket, it comes out of the grant.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 15.
Move to approve entering into an agreement between Aransas County, Texas and Texas State University for implementation of the Clean Coast Texas project through September 1st, 2024, which may result in water quality improvements in Aransas County at no cost to the county.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Cheney. Any
I-
discussion?
I just have a question. In here, it cites, and I apologize for not having this information, but it cites the Aransas County Stormwater Advisory Committee. And I'm wondering if someone can tell me who is on that committee and how the membership's determined.
There's somebody from I'm the county's representative on there. There's people from the city, the town of Fulton, the navigation district.
David Reed appears.
Yeah,
right?
David Reed chairs the.
Dee
the
McClellan
meeting.
is the chair.
I had a question from someone whether there are written reports prepared by the Stormwater Committee and whether they're available to the public. I think that the meetings themselves are public, and I suppose a notice goes out, but I didn't know about, minutes or something like that.
Yeah, there are minutes that are published every time we meet.
Are they on the website, David?
They
So I
should
can
be,
just point
yeah.
her? Okay, I'll point her
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
website.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
We say here it's at no cost to us. Is it clear that that's always going to be the case, or we're just not undertaking a cost obligation yet?
The current ones.
There could.
Go ahead, David.
Hello. So there is a possibility that there could be some kind of cost to us in the form of maintenance of a project that has been done. They're looking for various projects throughout the county. Some of them will be in the city and some of them in the county or the town. And it probably will be that if they build something in the county, that we'll be obligated to maintain what they build. So there is a soft cost at least.
Do we then procedurally, is the decision we're making today foreclosing our ability to say no to such a thing? Or do we get a chance to say yes or no to each project, deciding ahead of time whether we're taking on maintenance
Yeah.
obligations?
Yeah,
Which-
coming up with these projects will be a collective effort and agreement that we'll take on an individual basis.
So
there's-
it'll come back to the
Yeah.
Commissioners Court on each project before we make a commitment to cover maintenance in the future?
Correct,
Okay, so nothing we have to decide today.
correct.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 16, discuss and take action related to the remaining projects and insurance claims related to Hurricane Harvey, for which the Regional Pool Alliance is serving as claim adjusters and construction manager, which actions may include, but not limited to, number one, continuing working with Regional Pool Alliance to close out Harvey-related projects and claims, or number two, discontinue working with Regional Pool Alliance for Harvey-related claims for any projects, construction and/or repairs that have not been commenced, and continue working with the Regional Pool Alliance for any ongoing projects and claims. Or number three, discontinue working with Regional Pool Alliance on all projects and continue to work with Regional Pool Alliance towards a lump sum settlement with the insurance companies to satisfy outstanding claims. Or number four, discontinue working with Regional Pool Alliance on any Harvey-related projects and claims. Authorize county staff to seek lump sum settlement with the insurance companies, or a combination of any of these options, or a different action, or no action at all.
Second.
Motion, I know, it's just discussion right now, right? Oh, all right, second, Commissioner Casterline. Now, discussion. Ms. Osteen, would you like to lead on this?
So right now, I think the commissioners are just going to make a discussion, and then if an action is decided or, pardon me, desired, one of you will make a motion for that specific action later on in the item. The Commissioners Court has asked for us as staff to carefully look at our claims and where we're at. And today was just an opportunity for the commissioners to ask questions. I believe Ms. Hicks is here and able to answer some questions you may or may not have about the status of our projects. And Jackie and I are here, as well as Renee Butler, to answer any questions you may have of staff.
And Mr. Pittman with FPS is here also. So in the last meeting, Ms. Hicks, we asked you for a report on everything. The Commissioners Court, after listening to you, decided that we didn't get the full report that we asked for in all details. So any of the commissioners have a question on that?
I do, I guess. I mean, I have been trying to go through what we received and try to figure out what it is we're missing and what's causing the concern. And one of the things I've learned is that the airport, being a separate enterprise fund, has sort of some extra regulatory pressure on it to keep really detailed information about each single claim, each project, where the money, when the money has been approved per project by the insurer, which contractor it went to, what's left, and in particular to keep track of a tendency to sort of, I might call it, borrowing money from one project and putting it into the bucket of another project. So the airport appears to have succeeded in keeping its buckets a little more straight maybe than the rest of us have. And I'm wondering if we could get a commitment from Ms. Hicks that every project in the county would be brought up to the level of detail that's been necessary at the airport.
Okay, so at the airport, we are using the funds that were provided to the airport to finish out the individual hangars. We have had a contractor that was under contract with North Star and then under contract with RPA. the delay there is just not getting the work done.
Ms. Hicks, let me interrupt you for a second. I'm not really asking you right now to justify whether projects have been completed or why they haven't been completed. I'm really talking about a level of reporting of financial detail project by project. And my suggestion is that what you've been doing on airport projects is closer to what I'd like to see overall. And I'm wondering if you could commit to bringing every project in the county up to that same level of detail. In other words, for each single roof or project or whatever, we would like to be able to trace the money. And if it has ever been necessary to take money that was, earmarked for building A and it was spent on building B instead rather than wait, then, in accounting for, did it ever go back? Is it going to come back? What's going to happen?
Yes, ma'am, we can definitely do that. And we did provide a report and tried to show where all of the money has been used. I'd love to have a workshop with you all and go through all of that so that we can explain. But yes, we can keep that and we will provide you with that. It is something different than how our contract was agreed back in 2017. The kind of reports that you all are asking for is something that we've had to create because it's not the way the program was intended to be. That's changed this past year.
What changed?
It changed. Okay. It changed this.
When you say it, what changed?
The way that the program is working for Aransas County. I mean, the way that the program works is you ask us at the beginning to come in and handle the repairs and do the reconstruction.
Is that, this is kind of an important point to me. Are you saying that there is a change in the normal contractual relationship that we have with RPA? And if so, what was it? And is there a contract I can look at?
There has not been a contractual change, but the process or the way that the county has been handling it changed. Last July, we had asked Don Jackson Construction to use money they had on deposit at the airport to finish hangars on the airport very specifically. He refused to do that. At that particular point, Judge Mills said to Mike Gear and I that we did not have the authority to ask him to do that or to insist that he do that. And that's when all the construction stopped countywide. And so
you're saying was that within our contractual rights, or you don't think it was?
It was not in the agreement that we had in 2017.
When you say it was not specifically in the agreement, do you mean it violated the agreement or just wasn't mentioned by name?
It was not following the agreement that you made in 2017 for us to handle and be in control of the repairs and the reconstruction.
So you're saying it violated our contractual obligation? Yes?
I'm not an attorney, but I will say that yes, it was a change. A case study is the school district. We've moved forward with them. We have accomplished so much work since we got FPS recovery in here last August. I mean, it is amazing the amount of work that has been accomplished there, but we have not been able to accomplish work at the county level other than essentially getting the detention center roof on that we finally accomplished and some other smaller things that we have been able to accomplish because they were maybe, from windstorm damage with roofs blowing off at the transfer center and stuff like that. So we've been able to do that. But everything else, we have been just crippled and not able to move forward.
So when you were here a couple of weeks ago, I asked you if there was something that the county should do or had failed to do that would clear up any problems in your mind. You told me very clearly no.
Well, and then my son reminded me because they watched this that I did say I need to think about that. And I will tell you,
you weren't aware of it 2 weeks ago, but you're aware of it now?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I really did not want to throw anybody under the bus on this, but I find that was obviously a mistake. And yes, this did slow down the whole process. There's no way that you can get around that. And I think if you look at what has happened at the airport since Judge Mills said at the last Commissioners Court meeting that the county has no preferred contractors. We've been operating under a very different understanding of that, for a period of time. And so we immediately went to work at the airport and we're making quite a bit of progress on Hangar Tall, and we'll be able to move forward on all of these things if we're allowed to do so. We have not been able to move forward on Renee's buildings because she wanted to wait, I think, until you all make a decision on what you're wanting to do.
Your perspective is that Renee has asked you not to move forward?
Renee has said to Damien Pittman walked through the courthouse annex with her. And she said, and asked permission to go through the other buildings to do a scope of work. And she said she was not ready for that yet.
That particular walkthrough, were there any other situations in which you were asked not to move forward?
We have that building. We have the, which one is it? The public safety building. There are several other buildings that we need to do, and Renee will know the ones.
Wait, there are several other buildings in which you assert that Renee told you to stop work?
No, she said do not. We went in to do a statement of work, to a scope of work, to see what needs to be done inside so that we can do an estimate and move forward with the work that.
And were you stopped or not stopped?
Renee, did you say? Yes.
I think the clarification is that she asked Renee to prepare a scope of work, and that isn't
No,
something.
this is like.
So
Well, it's my turn to speak to you though. So
Damian Pittman came to inspect the elections roof that Don Jackson Construction had repaired. And the A&M and which other one? A&M elections and the roofs out at the transfer station all had to be re-inspected in the annex. And so they were climbing up on the elections building to make sure that the roof repair that Don Jackson Construction had made was inspected and pictures were taken. That's why Damian was there. While Damian was there, we walked over to the annex, courthouse annex, to take a look per his request at some of the stuff that we had done. And when I say we, facilities crew, my crew has been repairing, painting, removing drywall, installing dehumidification devices because the rooftop that North Star had placed on the roof of the annex and the venting inside was the wrong application. In other words, we had no vents leaving the attic space. So we had a pre-meeting with Kathleen and the judge and Jackie, myself, and I believe a few other people were there, and I think your grandson was there, about whether or not Don Jackson was going to move forward with that. No money was moving at the time, so Aransas County decided that we had to do something to get the annex building back into good order because it had not been repaired since Hurricane Harvey. We finally have a new roof. It's dried in, but it's not ventilating, so it's causing humidity issues, mold issues. So we spent money out of my budget to buy 3 dehumidification devices to place in the attic. And then any monies or time that we're billing to insurance for my staff to do the repairs. Kathleen knew this. We were all right there and made that agreement. And when I say agreement, a plan of action to move forward. As far as any of the other buildings that have needed to be done, I have asked Damian Pittman and Kathleen on several occasions about the rooftops at the transfer station, needing to get those repaired and replaced so that we do not incur more damages to the 2 buildings that they basically totally gutted floor up to replace the damaged. I mean, they left the foundation and put new foundation, but they gutted everything because again, those had mold too. The rooftop was a shingle, what she's referring to. The rooftop was made of shingles. And during the first windstorm, that blew that off. I was working with Damian Pittman and it was approved through Kathleen to get metal roofing once the detention center roof was done, right? So I'm segueing into that.
Okay.
So basically, no one was told to stand down ever. We were asked to come up with a number, and we've talked about this, come up with a number, and you talk to the judge about it, of what we think total cost would be on all the projects. Well, I'm not certified to do that. I'm not qualified to do that. So then talks were made about whether or not we should get an estimator. And so Kathleen's request has changed a couple of times with that estimator or a total cost. And it's not my decision to make. We have to make the decision. And so that's what the meetings were about. And that's what we're doing. Damien just sent me a text message after we visited on the elections roof and at the annex. And he said, are we ready to, I don't remember it word for word, but are we ready to go forward? And I said, no, not yet, because I haven't heard what everyone wants to do.
Well,
As far as I got one more thing, as far as any work being completed at Aransas County facilities buildings from Don Jackson time to when FPS came back in the picture, because there was a time FPS left or was not working on my buildings. Nobody was actively doing any work. So I'm kind of confused because nobody was out there with hammers and drills and stuff and being told to pull off. That just didn't happen.
well,
Yes.
let me, how long has it been since Harvey was here? And when did we start this? And how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long?
August 25th, 2017.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, one of the reasons it's taken so long is we had a contractor who, as our understanding, was taking control of Aransas.
And that was your contractor working for us.
Don Jackson Construction.
Was your choice,
It
right?
was Don Jackson Construction was hired by North Star Recovery.
And North Star was your choice.
North Star was our choice.
Okay.
And they came in, and that's why we're in this. They using funds provided through Regional Pool Alliance built this temporary courthouse. And you were in this by January. You never had to put a penny out, for this or anything else that happened there. We reached a point with them that they were not moving forward. And so Don Jackson Construction was under contract with them on so many projects and the ones at the airport.
And we got into this temporary courthouse when I forget the date.
The end of your first meeting, I think, was the end of January 2018.
Okay. So we've had from January 2018, that this process is somewhat complete to now. And we really haven't completed anything else. Is there nothing else that we've completed?
There are things that have been completed, and I think I gave you a list, but I'll be glad to provide another list of
the roof on the jail, is that complete?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, excuse me, it's complete except for the skylights being put in, and when
Okay.
they're received, they will be put in.
So we're looking at 2022 from 18 is, 6 years. 4 years.
Commissioner Cheney, there have been things accomplished, not enough. But again, I'm going to say for the last year, since July of last year, essentially nothing has happened because Don Jackson Construction shut everything down, and we're in arbitration, with them. They had a large amount of money on deposit at the airport, which we asked them to utilize to take that from contracts that they said would take 250 days to complete. And they have not been completed since they were paid in April of 2020. We asked them to take those funds and to utilize those funds to pay what was owed on hangar T5 to move forward with T4 and hangar tall, and to use the $74,000 of that to do the inside repairs at the courthouse annex and get
Okay,
that.
but
healthy.
that was money that was set aside for the airport, right? So you were taking out of that bucket and putting it in the courthouse bucket.
We asked because it was presented as an emergency to the county.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Were you prevented from entering into an agreement with any other contractor when you started having problems with Don Jackson Construction?
We had to get out of the contracts that we had with Don Jackson Construction because he had every contract for the county and several for the school district,
And did the-
because he came to us and said, you need me as the general contractor, right, to handle all of this for you. And yes, there were no other contractors because we were in contracts with him.
But the
They
county
had to be canceled.
But you entered into the contracts with the contractors, not the county, right?
That is correct.
So nobody at the county prevented you from entering into other contracts.
I could not enter into another contract until
That's not
those
what I
with
asked.
Don Jackson.
Did anybody here, though,
completed.
tell you not to look for a different contractor?
Judge Mills said very specifically, Don Jackson Construction was his contractor.
That is not true.
It is true, and it happened, excuse me,
No,
Jen, you
it's
were not
not.
in the meeting with our current claims administrator when that was said. You were not there.
I said that.
You did, because actually Ying with McLaren's contacted me, Ying C with McLaren's contacted me about 3 weeks ago and said, we need to get in and figure out how we're going to do business with Don Jackson Construction, you know, for the county. And I said, well, we're not. And he said that was the county's contractor. I said, no, we're
No.
not.
I haven't signed anything.
You
saying
have
that they
not
were-
signed anything, Judge. You have not. And so now we're, you know, so now we're dealing, you know, with all of this. And I'm very, you know, I'm very disappointed because we, Regional Pool Alliance has been prevented from moving forward. And we can move forward. And you will see again at the airport where that has happened. We moved forward on the detention center roof when after all those 5 engineers, we finally got one to write the report we needed to be able to replace that roof. And it's almost $1 million investment in the detention center, which was needed. It was justified. And we fought for it all the way. We fought for it all the way. And that's what we will do with this claim. We will fight for it all the way. We've been working with John Strothman on the courthouse. You know, I've been a certified insurance counselor for over 40 years. This is what I do. I do understand insurance. This claim got real off base, but if you consider the fact that this was a category 4 storm, you know, we had a year lost to COVID, you know, and then the winter storm Uri, which affected every claims professional out there, not us, every claims professional out there. And so there have been those delays. I know originally FEMA said it'd be 10 years. You always said you wanted 3.5. I think it could have been 3.5 if we hadn't had to deal with COVID and everything else. We can finish this and we can finish this strong. You have good coverage. If you can't do business with us on this claim, how are we going to deal with another storm if we have one this year? I mean, it's very, you know, it's very alarming. I really regret that you continued your coverage if we cannot work through this storm. I don't know how we're going to do it.
Here's what I'm trying to understand. We have an arrangement, an insurance arrangement with you where we don't enter into contracts with any contractors. Only you do that. You had a problem with first North Star and then Don Jackson, and now you have a third contractor on many of the sites. I think the argument I'm hearing from you is you had a problem with a contractor and we prevented you somehow from solving it. And I'm trying to understand, what did you think would happen to you if you simply said, it's my contract and if I want to change it, I will? You are the only one who could sign the contract.
Commissioner, I think that honestly, you know, I am a human and I think it just hit me so hard when that happened. It took me a few months to get beyond it. It's just the way it is. We're as exhausted as you all are, you know. I mean, I've moved here.
I'm hearing you say it hit you hard, but I don't understand what you think would happen if you just performed under your contract.
We are performing under the contract.
You are saying that you wanted to fire a contractor and the judge prevented you. What did you think would happen to you if you just said, well, it's my decision, I'm going to do it?
I don't know.
But you're telling me you don't know why you complied with your contract with
No.
us,
Um,
why you didn't comply, I'm saying. I don't get it. It was your
Okay,
job to hire
so-
contractors.
all right. It was my mistake. We were in the middle of an election. We were in the middle of election.
Which
There-
election?
Elections last year.
The
This
primaries
last
this year? Or you mean, what time are we talking about?
We're talking about.
November 2020?
Right. Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to go into election. There was
Which, tell me what year we're in. I'm confused.
the county judges election.
The primary in this year, March. We were in the middle of a county primary for the judge, and the relevance is what?
I guess there's no relevance.
What relevance appeared in your mind at the time?
I did not want to have any kind of negative impact on any election in the county. And with what was going on with Don Jackson, it was going to be a big thing.
You
And
were
so-
reluctant to let Don Jackson go because you received a demand from the judge and you thought it would hurt his election if you didn't go along with him?
No.
Is that not what you just said? It sounded like it.
All right.
I would like an answer to that question.
I will say again, when the whole thing blew up, when we were trying to get the money transferred that was on deposit with Don Jackson, which he did show the county auditor's office where he did have it on.
From the airport to a
deposit,
non-airport
right?
project.
Yeah, that, and then when we found out that was not going to happen, then again, I needed to make a move immediately. I did not make a move immediately because again, the judge had said Don Jackson is our contractor. Was it right? I don't know. Commissioner.
But you felt like you were helping with an election.
I do know this. It will never happen. It will never happen again.
I'm going to take your answer as a yes, even though I'm not quite hearing it. You're not telling me that I'm wrong.
Commissioner, may I say something? Kathleen introduced Don Jackson Construction to Aransas County as our contractor.
Right. They worked for North Star, whom she hired.
Correct. And they were going to be the ones that were going to fill as our recovery team as well. That was not a choice that we were given. It is not a demand that we made.
Oh, I know. But I'm addressing something different, which is given that that's all true, what does she think stopped her? And I'm hearing a disturbing story about an election.
I'm saying that had something to do with it, probably emotionally. Again, I had COVID twice. There were things going on, and I was not in the best physical condition to deal with all of that, and I was shocked. I was shocked when we were not able to move forward, and then had to start dealing with how are we going to make that happen. I continued to try to get Don Jackson to work with us like through the end of the year, and it became obvious that he was not going to. So we moved forward and contracts have been canceled. We are in arbitration, but we were able to move forward with construction at the airport, and we are doing that. We move forward at the detention center. We can move forward with the county's other buildings.
I believe what you're saying. I'm trying to sort out how it's our fault.
So okay.
And if it's not, then I would like to know how you're going to fix it.
Okay, so we are going to fix it. We're moving forward with everything. We meet with the claims adjusters on a Zoom meeting every week, right? And so we're working with Don Strothman and your construction team on the courthouse to get the cost.
We're not getting what we asked you for.
Okay.
Let me,
I mean, we asked you for an accounting and we're not getting it.
Okay, I thought I did provide an accounting, but it's not what you want.
It's
So-
not project by project with a careful delineation of
Okay,
when you're
and so-
borrowing from one project
But,
and giving to
okay,
another.
so that's okay, so if we're doing the construction process, we have to do it and we have to use money from one project to finish
Which you
one
can account
to-
for to
yes,
us.
yes, and
which
we
you have not done.
Okay, I thought,
Yep.
we thought that the.
Am I wrong,
what we
county staff?
provided
Are we
you-
not, the county's position clearly is we're not getting it.
Okay, so may I say this? So, we really hope that you will continue and you will let us continue, with this and finish this out. Some of the things that you put in here, you really need to talk to Regional Pool Alliance's attorney before you don't. Okay, well, you cannot come in and amend this. You can't throw us out of the claim. You're purchasing coverage from Regional Pool Alliance.
We're amending.
One of your things on here is discontinue working with the Regional Pool Alliance on any Harvey-related projects or claims and authorize county staff to seek a lump sum settlement with the insurance company.
You believe that the county can't make that determination?
I don't believe that you're qualified to understand the insurance coverage to
I
make
don't believe that
that.
you're an attorney, and I do understand that we don't have a contract that says we can't do it.
Well,
if you can show
yeah,
me-
but you, okay.
If you can show me a
excuse
contract that says we can't cancel a contract, I'd be happy to reconsider my decision.
So how
but
about
I do think
you
that's an
being an
option we can make.
attorney? Why don't you deal with the pool's attorney who you were communicating with?
This
No
is-
one told us this was going to even be on.
I
the
did what was
agenda.
asked of me by the commissioners court. I have no obligation to tell you what they've asked me to do.
Okay, so
Kathleen, you can always advise us that something's a bad idea from an insurance perspective.
But being bad idea
we
is different
have-
than being illegal.
I mean, but we have, the right to consider how to move forward. We'll listen to your advice, I'm sure, like we'll listen to everybody's. But I think we're reacting poorly to being told we don't have the legal right to do something we clearly do.
okay, so I'm just saying that your coverage is through Regional Pool Alliance, right? You have a
Well,
copy, you have a copy of it.
There are contracts with Regional Pool Alliance. What we don't seem to have is a contract with you to change the organ.
Because I'm contracted by Regional Pool Alliance as their administrator.
So there's no special contract with you. It's just the normal RPA contract.
The contract, the insurance, the coverage that you purchase every year is from Regional Pool Alliance.
Right? So there is no other contract I need to be looking for
No,
with you or
that's
with
it.
your LLC. No special
That is
arrangement,
correct.
nothing.
You do not. That is correct.
So anytime we want to look at what our rights are, we look at the original RPA contract, insurance contract.
Right.
Okay.
I want to just look at one other thing. Ask Jackie and Renee, when was the first time we realized that we were starting to have a slowdown or a problem that maybe was not due to the circumstances of health and that sort of thing? I think it was before Miss Osteen and Miss Oster was even elected. So go ahead.
Kind of had an idea something was not right when North Star sent me a text to come and pick up all their equipment.
Yeah, now you brought that to the court.
Correct.
At that, if I remember correctly. And that would have been
That was
2 years ago, right?
2020.
2020 before the election.
I've got the exact date, I think. Was it July? I think it was July. I think it was July 2020 when Neil sent me a text requesting to come and pick up the equipment at the detention center. And I do believe about the same time was when you introduced us to Don Jackson, who I did not know at the time was already working for.
He was working at
With
the airport.
Kathleen.
Mike knows him. He was at the airport.
Right.
From the beginning. Don Jackson.
So that's when I was introduced to them that they would start working on our buildings. And I think Kathleen, I think you'll agree that Aransas County or the judge did not say that Don Jackson Construction was going to be our vendor or our contractor. we were going with them on wanting the roof to be installed at the detention center. And Don Jackson twice gave a proposal for just that, to replace the roof. And so that's where that talk, I think, is unclear. I think that's when we said that we would like Don Jackson Construction to be able to do the roof too. And you actually requested of him a second time to submit a proposal, and he did, along with FPS.
But then he
Unbeknownst
did
to
not-
me, DK Haney was on the roof at the same time, and DK Haney got the deal, the roof.
So Don Jackson did not provide their final proposal for us to provide to Engel Martin. And that's why FPS.
I'm just giving you a timeline of when I think that the confusion about preferred contractor happened, because that was when the jail roof was being
Okay.
fought so hard for, and rightfully so. And,
Right.
and all the walkthroughs that you've expressed and described.
So the timeline, the high level timeline I'm trying to get in my head is the storm hits in August 2017. At some point in mid 2020, North Star walks off the job, I assume, because there's a payment dispute. I don't know how long the payment dispute was burbling along before they walked off the job. But that was the first contractor we lost. And then they were replaced by one of their subcontractors, Don Jackson, who within a year or so also had payment disputes and either walked off or was sent off. I haven't quite understood. Now we're on our third major contractor, and I'm trying to get a grip on what keeps happening and how exposed are we that we're going to lose our third contractor, and how are we ever going to get this thing finished up, and what's going wrong repeatedly.
So Damien, I'll let Damien can address the third contractor part on this.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
But then you'll come back and address the first two? Okay.
So as far as losing the third
Please identify
contractor,
yourself.
my name is Damian Pittman. I'm sorry, I'm Senior Project Manager for FPS Recovery.
And they are?
We are the contractor that's on these job sites right now.
Contractor number 3, the one currently, right?
Number 3.
For the record.
Number 3. Should be the third and last.
We hope so too.
Well,
We don't want the same thing happening to you that happened to North Star and Don Jackson.
So the thing is, with us, so let's go back some. I initially was here in 2017. I used to work for North Star. The guys that own FPS Recovery used to run North Star. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they entered the contract with Kathleen and RPA. They left North Star right before the hurricane occurred. So the people that was in charge of North Star at the time that took over from those guys who ran the company very well, it was kind of a, excuse my language, a shit show. So when they came here, you know, things were kind of unorganized. They were putting new people in place. I think the reconstruction manager at the time that was dealing with things here, Paul Chappell, was not really a reconstruction guy. And that's why you had so much confusion. So, you know, kind of just to speak up for Kathleen just a little bit here. I think, like I said, it was just a lot of miscommunication. And then the people that she actually ended the contract in with were not there anymore. I myself left the company because it just was not right. So I'm working with these guys now. They're legit. They're taking on costs, understanding that money will be recouped later on through insurance. And they're not concerned with how deep they're going in their pockets to get these things done. When I came here in August of 2021, we came with a specific plan. We've been working with the school district very closely. We had a 300 plus item punch list that was handed over to us of things that were not completed from North Star and Don Jackson. We're 93% complete right now with that as of today. The only thing that's holding us up right now is the kids getting out of school so we can continue with the last couple of projects to get those completed. And we'll be done with the schools in a matter of 7 months.
May I interrupt you for just a second?
Yes, sir.
Were you with North Star whenever they had the fiasco in Aransas Pass with the gym?
I was not working here then. I was, at that time you had Hurricane Harvey, you had 2 other hurricanes that hit I
This
think
this was after Hurricane Harvey.
Correct.
It was because of Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah, I was off in St. Croix working at the time. So I wasn't here in Rockport. I
So-
initially, say again.
FPS is not being paid now, but you're okay with it? I mean, you're carrying as many costs as you expect and you're not under
We're
pressure.
getting paid, but we're not under pressure as far as,
You said something about incurring costs that you had to carry.
because when you're a GC, you're gonna have to come in and there's money you're gonna have to spend out of your own pocket.
Right. And I'm asking,
Until
you're not being asked to go out over your skis to a point
No.
where you're under stress.
No,
And there's no brewing deal where you're not going to get paid and you're walking off the job the way
no,
North Star and Don Jackson did.
no, that's not a concern at all. We are getting paid. The company is getting paid. Kathleen has paid us, and we're getting material deposits from Kathleen and RPA that are every time we have a project that's approved, like Renee was talking about, her and I kind of just did a brief walkthrough of the annex building. I told her specifically, I want you to walk this building with me when I bring the reconstruction guys come in and the estimators, so that you can address whatever it is your concerns are, whatever it is that you guys had to do out of pocket, whatever it is that the other contractors did and they didn't do correctly. Once we get the estimators to get that price and get everything over to you guys, once anything is approved by RPA, it's knocked out. We're on top of it. I'm here by myself. I've been living here in Rockport almost 6 months now. I have a skeleton crew, which is myself, and whatever I need, because we're trying to keep the costs down. We don't want to do what North Star and the other contractors once did, which is usually they sit on projects, they run time continuously consecutive every day with their whole crew, and they're not accomplishing anything.
You
Whether
think that's
something
what
is
happened
approved or not.
with North Star on our projects for the first year or two of this project?
I can't necessarily speak to that. I just know the practice. And the practice was, and this is what caused the problems, you have 20 some odd crew members that are not currently working on anything at the moment. We're waiting for approvals, we're waiting for materials, et cetera, et cetera. These people are running time until these things get approved, until materials come in, et cetera. And this is what's increasing the bill. And this is why you have the issues with insurance right now.
That's why the
because-
insurers wouldn't approve the invoices from your perspective.
Absolutely. So that's where your problem comes in. Right now, like I said, I'm a one-man crew here by myself. I'm pretty overwhelmed, but it's okay. I can handle it. But I have the school district, every building, every project that's going on there. Right now with the county, I work with Renee. Whatever she needs, I address those issues. I'm now at the airport, and Mr. Gear, he can see and attest to the work that just started. We've been there a week, and Kathleen gave them a finish date for Hangar Tall of October 1st. We're on schedule to get completed by mid-August. So all we need is the approval and to go ahead to say, hey, this is what we need you guys to do, and we'll get it done. It's not an issue. So
How many,
the FPS is here until we complete this.
how many projects for Aransas County do you see that are out there that have not been done?
The ones
Under
that I
this
know of right
agreement.
now,
Yes.
I'm not sure about the entire agreement. What the ones I know of right now that I'm waiting on the word to say we have to go inspect these buildings.
What do you know
It's
of right now?
four buildings right now, 4 county buildings.
Renee, how does that go with our total construction projects? How many do we have?
Things that need to be worked on.
Mhm.
We've got the courthouse annex. We have the public safety center. We have the Aransas County Facility Shop. We have the transfer station. It's not a shed, it's an actual building garage. AgriLife does have some concerns that we found in the mezzanine where the air conditioners are, but that's minor. Mosquito barn, mosquito trucks where they're parked at Road and Bridge, the windows still haven't been replaced. Tie down for the on 35, have those been tied down? Okay. And we still have a lot of work to do within the jail mezzanine. And the
Renee,
aquarium.
can we get a definitive list of what is left to be done?
Yes.
Can we get it pretty quick?
Yes. And the aquarium and the courthouse.
Thank you.
I would like to just weigh in on this. I wasn't on the court when this all started. I've only been on since January of 2021. And serving as the liaison to the airport, I was attending the airport advisory board meetings in the beginning of the year when Don Jackson or his son or their construction person, or maybe any number of those people were there along with Kathleen Hicks, and everything was running smoothly. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but about April and May, it seemed everything went south. I don't know the players in this group. I will say that in the meetings or the information that I've received, it did seem to me for a little while as if Don Jackson was very closely affiliated with the county. I've learned that's not quite the way it was, but I have seen the work that Mr. Pittman has been able to accomplish in the last few weeks, and I've been very impressed, and I've been impressed with the communication on a daily basis, showing what the accomplishments are and what the projected timeline is for the project to finish. So as it stands right now, at least what's been done recently has been done, it seems, very well. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Pittman, I think that's all. Thank you. Any other discussion for Ms. Hicks?
I guess I would just like to ask what, my main concern being the first two contractors went wildly wrong for us, and now we have a third contractor we seem to like. How do we ensure that the same thing doesn't happen with the third contractor? What do you think is different? How are you going to change such that it doesn't happen to us again?
Well, as Damien said, the contractor that we're utilizing now is a contractor that they were the men that on the firm that we've done business with for the last 10 years. We know them, they know us. You know, they came in August when we thought we were going to get hit with a hurricane. And Don Jackson had pulled off the project.
I'm asking what's different from the first two. Is the difference that you're now using a contractor that you feel confident in and you didn't before?
We're using the contractors who were the initial partners that merged with North Star.
What went wrong with the first two? And why won't it happen again? With North Star and Don Jackson, why won't it happen again?
Because they were operating on a whole different basis. They're operating on strictly profit. Part of the issues that we're dealing with right now.
Did you just not choose good contractors for us? Is that what you're saying? I need to hear what's different.
No, that's not what I'm saying. North Star, the owners that own North Star, and then or the people that own FPS were the people that we've done business with for 10 years. They merged with North Star. That was a whole different way. That company was a whole different way of doing business. You know,
So it was kind of like North Star was good at first, but then things went bad.
Correct. That is
So when you
correct.
chose them, they seemed like a good choice, and then they just didn't work out as well as we all hoped.
We had done the management of North Star changed about 30 days before landfall. We couldn't change companies then. You know, they had been here doing workshops and everything. We did pre-disaster meetings, you know, every year. So
I mean, would you say they seemed like a good choice? They started on the job. When you saw there were problems, you took action and you got rid of them.
that is correct.
And then the same thing more or less with Mr. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
But you're not seeing the same problems crop up with FPS?
I don't think that they will. I mean, I've known them. We've done business for years. They came in a very emergency situation and helped us to shore up buildings when we thought we were going to get hit with a hurricane. And they continue and they do quality work, and they are, you know, they're very legitimate, strong business people.
We hear good things about them. I'm not disputing that part. I'm trying to figure out
Why?
what went wrong and whether we need to fix it or if it's just water under the bridge.
Well, I think, Mr. Pittman, also explained this, that he worked for the original owners. And then when there was a transition, was not comfortable with the level or lack of professionalism that the new owners.
But we
had.
have somebody here that is essentially she's in charge of picking our contractors for us. And so if the contractor's bad, I get it, but you picked the contractor. But I think what I'm hearing you saying is you picked one that should have been fine and you didn't have any way of knowing they were going to totally change their management. And then when that happened, you needed to fire them and you did.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And ditto for Don Jackson.
That's correct.
I don't have any kind of background to tell me whether any of that's right, but I hear that
That is what-
your
yes, ma'am.
explanation.
That is correct.
All right. We can discuss this further or think about it.
Well, there was I don't know if it was from Commissioner Laubach or whom, asking Ms. Hicks if she could provide us with that sort of detailed information by project. And you said you would be able to get that to us, and I think that would be very helpful if we
Yeah.
could see that and then
We
come
might
back.
could maybe talk about a proposed deadline for that. How long do you think you would need to put it
Yes.
together?
If you could give us a few weeks, we're working so hard right now.
Couple of weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
2? I mean, I'm inclined to think we're not in a position today to
No,
make
we're not.
a definite decision unless somebody else
And-
wants to make a motion.
Along with that, whenever you come back, I think that's probably where we're going to go, but whenever you come back, I want a list of projects. I want to know where it is and what our liabilities are and some sort of reasonable expectation. I realize right now is not a reasonable time for anything, but it's close to a reasonable expectation of completion of projects. And if you can't provide that, I'm ready to change. But if you can provide that, then I'm ready to at least look at it again.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have permission for FPS to go in and do the scope of work on the interior of Renee's building so that we can?
They're not our contractors, they're yours. You
But
got
we
the contract.
can't enter the buildings without permission. So I'm asking.
Are we excluding them? Do we need to exclude them from any buildings?
I think at this point, we were waiting on whether or not we're going to get a lump sum number from an estimator, or are we moving forward with repair with FPS?
If we haven't yet made that decision, is there any harm to their coming on the premises to do work, or is that a problem?
No. It's not a
There's no problem with it?
No.
So we wouldn't necessarily be making a decision, but we would allow them on the premises to do some preliminary work.
Absolutely.
Analysis.
And
We just,
and develop the scope of work so that they can give us the cost.
That seems that would be
Yeah,
beneficial.
stuff they do back in their office, I don't think we care. I just want to make sure that whether there is some practical reason I'm missing why they can't
She
set
asked-
foot on.
no, they can,
They
but
can.
to get on rooftops and inside buildings, some are secured, and that's why they
Right, so
need
they-
to notify us
You'll of
first.
course
That's
have to
all.
coordinate, but we're not
Right,
excluding.
right.
Okay.
Just a week.
Perfect. Thanks, Damian.
All right, I think we got a plan now. Couple of weeks, you can come back with those reports for the Commissioners Court. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're
Thank
just
you.
simply going to take no action on this yet,
All
right?
right,
Okay.
item 17.
I move.
Approve the April 2022 county treasurer.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Unanimous. Item 18.
I move to approve authorizing the Aransas County Treasurer to sign a promissory note and distribution request and authorization between Aransas County and Prosperity Bank for automatic extension of the expiration date for 1 year or the irrevocable standby letter of credit number 1973 from Prosperity Bank to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ. Said extension going through June the 1st, 2023. The letter of credit covers financial assurance of Aransas County Transfer Station in the amount of $10,200.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Laubach. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 19,
I move to approve the distribution of $102,046 to the U.S. or of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Refuge Revenue Sharing Account annual payments to local governments for lands under their administration for the fiscal year 2021, received in 2021.
Second.
Or excuse me, received in 2022.
motion made and seconded, Commissioner Laubach. Any discussion?
What's our share of the 102,000?
It's equally calculated out on what the tax rates are.
It's on one of those pages.
Okay, it's in the,
Yeah, it's,
okay, so 102,000 is for everybody and our share is some percentage of that, which I can look up.
it looks
I don't know.
like we're getting about 11,000.
Oh, okay.
And
So if it
is-
goes by taxes, then probably the school district.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
the
I don't-
bulk
I
of
don't
it's
need to
going
take
to
up-
the school district.
If I can
which
look it up,
looks
that's
about
good.
30 to 31,000. And the NAV district's getting, or I'm sorry, 30 million.
That must
that
be the
right?
tax. Anyway, we can look this up. I don't need to
Okay.
take up the
Okay.
course.
I have a question. Patricia, are you going to answer for Ms. Cartwright or is she online? All right, I just was curious on the sheet she prepared saying that it was under the budget. Was that a budget that she had estimated how much she thought we'd be getting from the Fish and Wildlife? Or was that what Fish and Wildlife estimated we'd be receiving?
Do you want me to answer that, Tricia?
It was what they said.
We actually budget that based on trends. And so it was under what we expected or what we anticipated when we created the budget last year.
Okay, so that was a county generated figure.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
How much was it under, Jackie?
I haven't looked at it, Commissioner.
A lot or little?
Well, we usually budget about 30,000. So I would have to look and see what our distribution
Pretty close.
was. If we were at 11, then we're pretty low. We're about 20, under by about 60% then. And that's just a question of what Parks and Wildlife fees are collected. It's nothing we control. It's based on our tax rates and what their revenues are, and they use some kind of calculation, but it is based on our tax rate also. Okay.
Any further discussion?
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 20,
I move to approve budget line item transfer.
I'll second that.
motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. In discussion.
Are there any, Jackie?
No, ma'am, we have none at this time.
Roll
Commissioner
call.
Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 21,
I move to approve.
Accounts payable for payroll and payroll liabilities.
Second.
motion made and seconded, Commissioner Laubach. Any discussion?
Anything unusual?
I have some questions, but Jackie,
Okay,
do you have?
We do have a couple of things. One of them is distribution of the wildlife refuge in lieu of taxes. But also we have a Creole law group that was it was a forfeiture tax sale, and those funds are being turned over to this law group. We also have $23,000 out of Pathways that is work on the bridge at Tule Creek. And then we have some large invoices, two totaling $570,000 in the 430 fund. And these are for J.M. Davidson on the Cedar Bayou waterways, the work on Cedar Bayou. And if you had anything else, Commissioner Russo.
You covered almost everyone.
Oh.
The corresponding 26,000 plus to Mont McDonald, was that Cedar Bayou also then?
I mean, I'm looking to see what, yes, it would be.
All right, and the item for the pathways, the kiosk and bridge repair, I noticed that was done by credit card. Was it not?
Yes, it was.
Isn't that unusual?
I was going to say,
It's not a vendor that we normally do business with. It was a vendor out of Houston. So she purchased it through the credit card.
it's not any additional expense to us,
No.
so it's just,
I understand that. I just wonder about going through the regular accounts payable.
I think it was just timing, probably. I mean, that would be the only reason I would see that they would do it, is because they would get paid and not have to wait to go through court, because we would, well, they still have to wait to go. They wouldn't have to wait to, but the credit card company has to wait for us to go through court, but they would have received their funds immediately.
Is that the way it works? The credit card company automatically holds until we show them a commissioner's court approval?
No.
Or it's just
No,
timing?
the credit card automatically pays it, but then we have to bring the credit card bill to court to be approved.
After
So
the
it's
money's spent.
actually the credit card company that is waiting for the approval, because they've already approved the payment.
If we didn't approve it, what happens? They have to reverse the payment?
We would have to go back to the credit card company and reverse it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious about paying an invoice for 23,000 plus through a credit card instead of going through accounts payable.
It's very unusual, Commissioner Russo, for us to do that. We just normally don't do it.
And I hope not.
It's a
something
vendor we
can't
don't
do.
normally do business with. And so she purchased it with a credit card because it's like a one-time thing. So there was no point in setting an account up and going through that whole process.
I understand procedure. I mean, I understand administratively why it's easier that way. The sensitivity we have is money going out before the commissioner's court has a chance to approve a payable. And I understand we have a path to getting it back what if by some weird chance we decided this was a wrong one and we hadn't approved it, we have to make sure there's a way that our judgment is not empty. Anytime you pay money and then we approve it in advance, in arrears, we have to think about, well, what would happen if we said no? I know we're not likely to, but if we did, what do we do? I think the answer is you have to claw it back from the from the credit card company.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're convinced that that's not a problem, that the credit card company would certainly give it back to us, and that kind of addresses my administrative and procedural issue.
I don't see why they would not. I mean, it would be something that we wouldn't pay, and we would dispute the charge, and they would have to go back
Disputed
to
as
the-
unauthorized, essentially.
Do we have a policy that addresses an upward maximum that people
I'm
can
not
put on
aware,
there?
we do have a policy, but I'm not aware of any limits that are on it. We'll look at that if that's something.
I
the
would
court
like,
wants us to
thank
do.
you.
Didn't she check with your office first?
But
Yeah,
she didn't check with the
not
commissioner's
me.
court
She may have
first.
talked, she would have had to talk to Tana.
Yeah.
I'm just saying going forward.
Okay,
All
we'll,
right.
we'll definitely.
Yeah,
look
if
at
it's
that.
small amounts, but a large amount, it does raise an issue of whether we're allowing expenses first and approval later.
It is very unusual that we would have done that. So I will definitely look at the policy.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellon, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Mr. Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Now it's time for any department head or elected official to bring up anything. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to let the commissioners and the judge know that we have received the request to apply for our second half of the ARPA money, and I did submit that last week. I'm not aware of us getting it yet, but we should be getting it any day.
So that's the 4.5 million. Does that mean we got,
That is the other 2.5.
so we got 2.25 before and we're getting another 2.25? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's good news. Anything else?
I would also like to mention something that perhaps segues into one of the citizens to be heard comments. I didn't know that was going to come on this morning's agenda, but I was made aware about 10 days ago that the AC&D had completed its annual report. When I initially had inquired at the courthouse, I was given the information. We had not received it. I did ask the AC&D about it. They gave me a copy and it was filed December 31st. And I did present that to Judge Mills last week, I think. So that being said, it was filed at least within the guidelines of the water code because I filed it on December 31st.
It was filed with the county clerk too.
Yes, it was filed with county clerk, but that is
So
what
I
the water code says.
I didn't know.
On December 31st. It's dated on there, but I
December
had
31st
been
and-
told
and-
that it had not been received. So
Had no knowledge in my office.
So this the issue, it came to the county clerk's office, and so it just wasn't on the radar yet. We didn't realize it had been filed.
correct.
Okay, but they filed it, so
They
they're
did.
in the clear.
Well, I haven't seen it.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.